You know, a joke about resurrecting this series would have really been appropriate, like, 2 seasons ago? Huh. Well, let's see what we have to work with. Just like fruit baskets, I'm sure there were people asking for this to be brought back, but I wasn't aware they existed. Also for this, I don't know if it's really changing all that much or is gonna be better. Might be a whole lot worse. I lack self-confidence. But for those unaware, this series is a seasonal overview where, depending on how many shows I'm watching, I get that many words to describe each of them. And then I give a slightly bigger spiel and my opinion on the show so far, effectively violating my one and only rule. But otherwise the video would be like 30 seconds long, so yeah, here we go. Fruits Basket, first season. Confession time. I didn't watch the first one, so... Figured a good place to start would be with a reboot. While I do have vague recollections of watching a TV commercial featuring Fruits Basket that was on some coming soon section before some series or movie in my mom's minivan, I never watched an episode of the original. So going into the series blind, I'm having fun with what I've seen so far. It's really pretty and the opening song is gorgeous. Also, it's nice to know going in that it'll be a complete adaptation, so barring my interest completely waning, I'm likely in it for the long run. One Punch Man Season 2. Really unfortunate that this has to follow Mob. That, combined with the long wait and different staff at least, One Punch Man doesn't have a ton outside the humor and its characters working for it. And it certainly doesn't help seeing one's other work, Mob Psycho, seemingly get the first class treatment in terms of both production and adaptation the 3 months leading up to this release. It's unfortunate, but for people aware of those facts, it's hard to not make the comparison. All that being said, I am still enjoying One Punch Man, and it's good to see that the majority of people are too. Just goes to show what strong source material can do. And with how popular it is, odds are plenty of people will watch it with no knowledge of Mob Psycho whatsoever and thus won't know to make that comparison to begin with. Next, Senryu Shoujo.
That's one too many syllables there, bub.
Not that I don't like the anime, but that joke is like half the reason I wanted to bring this series back. The show may only be 12 minutes in length, but that feels just right for it. Nothing is rushed, but the gags also don't overstay their welcome. There hasn't been anything to really make me bust a gut yet, but between the cute character designs, Kana Hanazawa as Nanako, and my passing interest in poetry, there's enough to keep me coming back. Kimetsu no Yaiba. My demon sister can't possibly be this cute. While a selling point of this series since its adaptation was announced was that it would look gorgeous because of Ufotable, that's not my favorite part. Don't misunderstand me, I think a lot of the action we've seen has been really good, and I really loved the water effects we saw in these most recent episodes, but what I've loved more is the sibling dynamic between Tanjiro and Nezuko. There's just something about it that comes off as really natural that makes it adorable, and I really hope we get back to it sooner rather than later. Their interactions are definitely the parts I will be continually looking forward to. Well, those, and the introduction of whoever the mad lad is that dual-wields swords while wearing a boar's head. Truth be told, he might end up being my favorite part of this series by its end, and I know literally nothing else about him. We Never Learn. Wait, this is also a Shonen Jump adaptation? Yep, color me surprised, but this has been a fun ride so far. I'm personally not the biggest fan of harem-style shows to begin with, but I'm hoping there's at least some development on any front with one of the girls before this first season ends. And there's also something interesting about working hard at an area you're bad at, because that's where your real passion lies. As someone who sucks when it comes to recording audio, despite having done it consistently for over 2 years now, I can empathize. That said, this goes back to what I was saying earlier about needing just any development is I need a little more of a reason to keep coming back as I can kind of feel my interest fraying ever so slightly. Mix Meisei Story. Classic look and feel for a new series. I'm not that big into baseball in real life, but after Run with the Wind continually being a part of my week for the past half year, I think part of me is looking for another weekly sports show to fill that void. And Mix may be it. I may also give Touch, the more classic anime that this is supposed to be a spiritual sequel to, a try. From what I can tell, a lot of the plot is similar and even the main characters are near identical, but it makes sense as their mangas are by the same author, Mitsuru Adachi, and that is a common critique of his work. But personally, I'm not going to chalk that up as a negative because I really like the older design and feel of the characters. It's not something you really get to see every season. Plus, it feels anything but dated or limited by this older art style. As an example, the show has a really distinctive and eye-catching way it introduces us to new characters. Add to that some pretty fluid animation when it comes to the actual baseball scenes, and you've got a slow-paced and decently compelling sports story so far. Also, just as an aside, I really like the opening for this one. I think the song's great, same with the slow build-up to the actual baseball scenes, and then all the matches on action between the actual players show a great level of communication and coordination that's necessary for a sport like baseball. Just a really creative and meaningful use of one of my favorite techniques in editing. Hitoribochi's lifestyle. Social anxiety personified, and yeah, I love it. The rest of this list really isn't organized in any sort of worst to best order, but I did save my personal favorites for the end. And Hitoribochi is without a doubt one of them. It's absolutely adorable and paced in a way that makes glaciers seem fast. But unlike them, the series does anything but drag in my eyes. It just takes its time, and that only makes things comfier and more enjoyable. People often remark about how a good show tends to feel like it goes by in an instant, but I'm honestly happy that it feels like an episode of Hitoribochi lasts forever. There's just a sense of ease and calm that this show brings with it that I don't often get, and the slow pace only amplifies that effect. I'm well aware it's not for everyone, but the aspects I've mentioned, combined with Bochi being relatable for anyone with the slightest tinge of social anxiety, have placed the show firmly in the upper echelon of ones I look forward to every week. Carol and Tuesday. Sci-fi musical with Shinichiro Watanabe attached? Yes, please. Yet, there are very few things I am not loving about this series. From the realistic sci-fi setting to the integrated musical numbers each episode, everything just feels like it's in harmony so far. It looks gorgeous too, and I'm digging the character designs of pretty much everyone. I am almost certainly going to make a video eventually because there's just so much more I want to talk about than what I can cover in this short blurb. And it really feels like one of those series that pretty much everyone in AniTube is going to cover in one way or another because it's just doing so many things so well. I don't know, there's a part of me that has a really special feeling with this one. So of course then, this has to end with an arbitrary, thanks Netflix. I can only hope it ends up being worth the wider audience base the series will get, you know, a year from now. But that'll wrap up my seasonal impressions for spring 2019. I do think overall it's the weakest season we've had in a while, certainly since maybe this last summer, but I've still found some shows to enjoy. I'm sure I'll drop a few of the ones listed here, but I may also pick others up, which is where you can come in. Let me know what you think of this season, and feel free to try and convince me to watch whatever shows you've been enjoying the most if I didn't mention them. And opinions on the ones I did are also welcome. But thank you as always for watching, and an especially big thanks goes out to my awesome patrons, HinikuHou, OverjoyedSoup, MVPino, James Morton, Marbled Ranger, Spudge, Beorn, and everyone else whose support helps make videos like these possible. Links to that Patreon if you'd like to join them, my shirts, and everything else are either down below or on the screen right now. Leave a like and click that bell icon to keep up to date, follow me on Twitter, stay awesome, and I'll see you next time.